everybody. We got a special guest, Big Mike from Raider Nation in the house.
Yo,
Shout out to Wasted Talent, Raider Nation Unlimited for making the connection. And it's the first time on the channel. We're going to talk about the Bills at the Dolphins. It's probably the hottest matchup of the week. And this is the game he picked, so he wanted to go through this game. We'll be back in a few seconds with that. All right, welcome to the channel. I gotta get into it first, real quick. What's going on with the Raiders, man?
oh man, I don't. The Raider Nation is still sick this week. We got a game coming up against the Titans, but nobody really wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk what happened on Sunday, and it was a rough one. We gave up a 20-point lead, and that was the biggest lead we gave up in team history. So this is like unlike anything we've ever seen in Raider Nation. Usually, if we're up that much, we're finishing off the game, and if it gets close, we're still pulling off the win. So this was something that caught us way off guard, and Raider Nation in general is just sick at this point, man.
Yeah, well, I will say the a pretty solid cure looks to be playing the Titans the next week after you're feeling sick. So
Yeah,
I think it should turn around. You guys were in control of that game of the Cardinals, man. It looked good. I was riding with y'all with the -5.5.
it looked good. It
It looked
looked good
great,
for a
man.
second.
I didn't even think I had to keep watching it or keep looking at it. You know what I mean? I in
Yeah,
my head, during the day on Sunday when I'm like thinking about what other bets I might want to put down, I always try to calculate like, all right, I already have this money coming back. You know what I mean? I chalked the
right.
Raiders up as like that's a cover by the fourth quarter. I was like, all right,
Oh
I'm gonna
man,
I'm gonna count that 20 return on whatever the case is, and
right.
they screwed me on that one. I did not expect that comeback. Especially because I was kind of fading the Cardinals even more so than like loving the Raiders in that game. So
Yeah,
I was not expecting them to come back. Everything that I thought was going to happen happened in that first half. You know what I mean?
right.
It just completely flipped on you guys. But I think you guys will turn it around against the Titans. And
Hope
the
so.
only the thing that sucks is that division is so strong. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
the division wasn't so strong, I would say don't even be worried right now. But you guys are gonna have to keep up with the Chargers now at this point, and try to hopefully sneak that or get the other last wild card spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, our saving grace right now is that the AFC isn't looking initially as strong as we thought. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
especially teams like the Bengals. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're 0-2 right now, and also we can get three teams coming and making a playoff push and making the playoffs in that division. So
Right.
if we come in as a 7 seed, all we got to do is get in the party, and then anything can happen at that point.
Yep.
So
100%. Any
so
given Sunday after that.
yep,
And I guess I will say the Broncos looking as bad as they do is a plus on that end too. So
right, right,
it looks like you might not have to worry about them. I don't know if that's just chemistry issues for the first couple games with the new quarterback and everything. So we'll see.
yep,
But they don't look too hot. So, but
right.
let's get into what we're here to talk about today. We got the Bills going into Miami as 6.5 point favorites. The over under set at 54.5. And it's funny. It was at 5.5 about an hour ago when I was building the show, and I literally was going to come on here and say, if you're thinking about taking the Bills side here, take them right now because we might see it go up. And sure enough, before we even get on live, it goes up a whole point. I still kind of like the Bengals here. I would lean that way at the -6.5. But what are you thinking here? You picked this game, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go. It was initially, like you said, 5.5, 6.5. I'm still gonna go with the Bills to cover that. The over under is at 54.5. I'm gonna say they're gonna go under in this game. Now, two offenses for these past 2 weeks, especially with the Dolphins last week against the Ravens, they look smoking hot. And you had Tua, who threw for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he was like, he was on the top of his game. And when you see that, you're like, okay, this offense is going on all cylinders. The Bills, we've seen what they've been doing the last couple of weeks. That offense is going, they're cooking right now. And I think that going over with the over on this one might be a trap. I see that both teams might cool off a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not saying that it's going to be a kicking contest or anything like that, but
Right.
I can see I can see both I can see both offenses uh, kind of cooling off a little bit. And the Bills defense, like you gotta, they're
Hmm.
second in the league right now in giving up yards. So the Dolphins have a tall task to deal with at that point. So if I was to choose, I would say the under for that game. And if I had to predict the score, I'm saying like Bills will cover. It'd be like a 27-17 type of game.
Right, right. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I had the same thoughts about the over under, and to your point about them being second in yards allowed, they're also second in points allowed. The Bills defense is, and the past two primetime games that I've tried to call the over on was Thursday night with the Chargers and Chiefs. I had the over in that because two electric offenses going head to head, and then the Eagles Vikings where it looked like it probably should have been two explosive offenses, and that over was looking fantastic at halftime, and then nobody scored in the second half. So I don't know, maybe the fix was in on that or something, but I
Man.
couldn't believe not a single point was scored. Nobody wanted to score. They got down to the 12-yard line and just started throwing picks. Like Kirk Cousins was just throwing it in the air. You know how they make that joke like, oh, fuck it, DeAndre Hopkins is down there somewhere. Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins was like, oh, Darius Slay's down there somewhere. Like he was just throwing the ball for the defense. You know what I
Right.
mean? He wasn't even trying. And I mean, I was just sitting here frustrated because I'm like, I had the over here, and it just completely died out at halftime. So, needless to say, I'm not trusting calling another over just because there's two hyped up offenses coming in. I fell for that trap twice already now, so I'm with you on calling this under. So far, in the entire league, it's 22-10 to the under out of all 32 games, which is it's kind of surprising when you think about it. I mean, maybe they're just setting the lines a little higher where it favors the under, which is something I keep thinking about throughout the season. But with all the changes in the rules and everything and penalties, how penalties are being called, it all favors the offense, and nobody can hit over right now. So it's a little weird. We got to kind of watch that trend throughout the rest of the season and see how it goes. But I do like the Bills to still cover. I think they're on fire, man. They're the best team in football. They're stacked, and the Dolphins look good, but I don't trust the Ravens defense too much. And I'm a Ravens fan, and I came into the season saying we're probably going to be a little mid, and especially giving up, all of that big lead in the fourth quarter. All of those touchdowns came in the fourth quarter, pretty much, and that was terrible. So I'm not putting too much in Tua. Like I don't know how to read Tua yet. I think this is the game where I have to watch and see how the Dolphins really are going to look against this Bills defense.
Right. Yeah. And kind of go back on that point where you were saying with the two like high powered offenses going against each other historically. One thing that I have noticed is that like I mean I don't know the exact record of that, but in previous years, every time we get like one of those shootout type marquee matchups, we think we're going to get a shootout. It turns out to be a dud. I've seen
Right.
it time and time again. So
Mm-hmm.
that leads me to be like, all right, let's go to the under on this one because historically I've seen these kind of games you don't get the scores you're expecting.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Like I said, I got bit already twice in the last week. So yeah, week two killed me on those overs. So I'm gonna be looking at them a lot differently in pretty much every game. But this is especially the perfect example because I mean the Bills have been hot for 8 straight quarters, and the Dolphins are super hot for at least their last quarter. And
Right.
so, but they also didn't do much against the Patriots offensively. You know what I mean? They won the game, but they didn't do much. So I'm really looking to see how they play against this Bills defense. That'll tell me if this Dolphins team is really legit or not. Because I'm not sure at the moment. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, last week with the Ravens and Dolphins game, I was really sure that we were going to get an under on that one, under 44, just based off what I saw with the Dolphins defense against the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ravens defense is the Ravens defense. You think Ravens, you're thinking defense. I'm thinking, hey, we're gonna get a 20-17 type of game, and turned out that it was a shootout. So
Yeah, well,
um
when
it's
I was on Wasted Talents show and you had mentioned that, and I said,
yeah,
the only thing I said was, I don't know, because Lamar might take that and run with it and do the over by himself. What I didn't expect was Tua to come out guns blazing in the fourth quarter like that. So that, I mean, it was an eye opener because I was with you on the under except for the fact that Lamar might break it out. And in the first half, it looked like I was completely right, and then Tua sealed the deal. At the end, the Ravens offense stalled out in the fourth. But I told you not to take that under, man. I thought that might
No,
happen.
man.
I thought that might happen.
Yeah,
but it was a solid play with your logic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? I do want to mention. This offseason, Tyreek Hill got a lot of heat for what he was saying about Tua, that he was a really accurate passer and this and that. And so, what I kind of want to mention some of his stats for a second. I mean, right now he's completing 71.1% of his passes, and he looks like exactly what Tyreek Hill said, that he's a very accurate passer. His QBR is 85.7 right now. He's playing really great ball. And if you look into his career, he has it's a short sample size, but he's throwing almost 67% completions right now in his career so far. So, hey, maybe Tyreek Hill had, he was on to something. And instead of us laughing, we should be kind of watching Tua closely these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I definitely would say, he has the potential because he's been playing very well. And that offense, he has Mike Gesicki, Jalen Waddle. Obviously, we've mentioned Tyreek Hill, but he's got a squad there. But me being a Ravens fan and watching the Ravens, we are prone to just give up big plays. You know what I mean? We will lock you down the whole game and then allow a 3rd and 27 that could seal the game and end up losing the game. You know what I mean? We got knocked out of the playoffs by the Bengals one year on that exact, I think like 2 years ago, on that exact scenario where it was just we were dominating, defensively the whole season, and then we have that opportunity to really seal the deal and get to the playoffs with our defense, and they fold. So, that's probably the reason I wasn't super impressed, because, I mean, the Ravens were coming up on those routes when you got the speedsters, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle going by you. It didn't make sense to me, but they play aggressive football in that secondary, and you're going to get beat if you miss a few times. You know what I mean? Right. So I wasn't not that I'm not impressed. Like, it was a great comeback. It was a great offense. They played well. But I'm not putting too much weight into it because I know how the Ravens get on defense sometimes, and I expected us to be pretty mid, so I'm not judging it too much. You know what I mean?
Got you. Got you. You know what? I do want to put out to be devil's advocate, right? For the case of this game going under or possible going over in this one. I mean, you got the Dolphins defense, who was struggling pretty bad against a dual threat quarterback. You had Lamar Jackson throw for over 300 and rush for over 100.
Yeah.
If you're going to be struggling with a guy like Lamar Jackson, what happens when Josh Allen comes into town? He could do the same amount of damage. And if it gets out of hand, he can break 35, 40 points alone on his own. So, that's the scenario I can see if this game goes over, if just Josh Allen is still on his MVP tear like he's been doing for the last couple of weeks and just takes over this game completely.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, we could transition right into player props while we're at that, because that's what I was going to bring up next is that Dolphins defense got torched for the first 3 quarters. I mean, the fourth quarter they locked them up. They didn't allow anything. They saved the comeback, in a way. But they were getting lit up by the Ravens. So I was going to say the same thing. If that's what Lamar's doing, we know Josh Allen's a better passer. We had Bateman had 100 yards and a touchdown on 4 catches. What do you think Stefan Diggs is going to do with Josh Allen throwing him the rock? You know what I mean? So I was going to say that we don't know what they're going to set his yards at yet, but anywhere between 70 to like 90, I could see from Stefan Diggs easy, especially after that game he just had Monday night. I think we take him for a touchdown and 2 touchdowns. So you put $20 on him to score 1 touchdown, you're making 14 on that. Take half of that. The $7 on the 2 touchdowns make 32. If he gets 2, you're up 46. If he gets 1, you're up 7. You don't lose on the bet. You know what I mean? That's how I would play it. But it's tough to call because we don't have the props out yet. But I see him having a big game after what Bateman was able to do. And then you got to look at Dawson Knox also. The Bills got Dawson Knox alive on Monday after a poor week 1. But he had 4 catches for 41 yards, but they were in control of that game. They didn't need to throw the ball as much as they might in a closer game. Oh, shit. Chad's jumping in here.
I know you're trying to do a show without me. You're going to bring Big Mike Raider on and you're not going to invite me? Come on. What's up, Big Mike?
Hey, how you doing, Chad? How you doing?
Yo, so you got the over, Chad, you said? Chad jumped in the chat, said he had the over before he jumped in here. No, this man jumped in just to freeze. I'm kicking him out. Oh, he's back. He's back. He's back. Is he? All right, there you are. Why do you like the over, Chad?
All right. Why do I like the over? Because I think both of these teams possess the capability of putting up points, and I think defensively, I think that it's when you have your own offense that can score like these offenses have shown that they can score in bunches. It puts a lot of stress on your defense to go back out onto the field, and I think you're going to have some. It's going to be like a time of possession battle where, and I don't mean that in terms of there's going to be a lot of long methodical drives. I actually think it's going to be a time of possession battle to see who can actually score slowly enough that they're going to be able to keep their defense fresh as we get deeper into the game, because that's what I think happened to Baltimore. Like you look at, they were hanging points quick on Miami early. Lamar Jackson broke off that big run. They had a couple other big plays, and I think their defense got a little gassed, and that's how Miami was able to come back and catch him. Started making plays, started putting it together. So I could see this very easily being one of those 37-23 type setups.
That's a good call. I like those takes. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because,
I didn't mean to interrupt y'all. Like I was just splashing, crashing the party, but y'all were in the middle of talking. I was coming in to say hello.
Oh no. You know what I mean? To your point, I mean, you make a lot of sense on that. I mean, I've seen it in the AFC West with the Chiefs, in years past where, they score so fast and then the defense looks gassed, but, they're outscoring the poor play of the defense. That's because they're gassed. So I can see that. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your points. I like Mike said, I could definitely see that happening, but I got bit in the ass by these overs twice in the last week. So with the same kind of profiles, same kind of matchups, same kind of teams playing each other. So I'm not falling for that bait again. Chad, you can take it if you want. I'm going to ride with the under though. I'm going to ride with the under and the Bills to cover. And, it might even be smart to parlay that if that's what you're thinking, or even the over and the Bills cover if that's what you're thinking. He just dropped it. Yeah, lost him probably. But I mean, with the player props like we were talking about, on the flip side, while I do think the Bills will probably have a good game passing against the Dolphins, on the flip side, I don't know I don't think I'm going to play any Dolphins player props. As electric as they can be, I feel like the sports book is going to overcompensate for last week a little bit with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely.
So their numbers might be set a little high. Now you can always do the alternates where you drop them down a little bit, obviously. So obviously it's not stupid to take either one of those receivers for like 50 yards or 60 yards, especially if you're throwing it in a parlay where you're juicing the odds with some other stuff. I mean, but they're going to set those overs pretty high for their actual lines. And I don't know if I'll trust it because, like I said, I got to see how they play against the Bills defense. I don't know if this offense is a legit powerhouse or if they had a great game because of those factors that Chad just mentioned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you know what? And to me, like I look at the Dolphins offense, I mean, it kind of surprised me to see them, gunning the ball like they did that whole game. Well, they had to kind of to come back, but I think that's kind of out of their character. I mean, you look at Mike McDaniel when he was with the 49ers. He was a run heavy guy. He wanted to, he was a running back by committee guy, and he kind of relied a lot on his tight end. I mean, you could argue that he didn't have the wide receiver stars as he does now with the Dolphins, but
I was gonna say, he had a better system for that, even with the running backs, because he was running back by committee because they had 3-4 guys that could all ball out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But go ahead. Yeah.
And to me, I think that he might want to go back to that philosophy for this game, especially because you don't want to see the Bills offense on the field for too long. So if you're looking at that, I could see the Dolphins trying to play that time of possession game, holding on to the ball for a long time and doing short methodical drives and which hopefully leads to scores. But in doing so, time's running out. So you're not putting up 14 points in like a quarter. You're putting up 7 or maybe even 3, and then you got a quarter. You already ran a quarter, so that's more of a reason for me to go under on that one.
My bad. No, I was on mute. My bad. I was saying
Yeah.
that's a good point. Because even if one or two of those drives ends in a field goal instead of a touchdown, I mean that makes the under look even better. It might even be smart to play a little bit. This is a John Ryan strategy that he always says, because it might be smart to even play a little bit of that on the under early and then see what happens in the first quarter. Because if there's like a couple quick scores in the first quarter, that over under might shoot up a little bit. You can grab another under a little higher, and
Yep.
you might win both of those by the end of the night.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree. It could definitely go that way as well. It would be smart for the Dolphins to do that, slow the game down a little bit with how fire the Bills' offense has been lately. They haven't missed a beat all season yet in the first 2 weeks, so I can see that for sure.
Yeah, and then Tyreek Hill, you could still get him the ball on short passes.
Mm-hmm.
He's best with yards after the catch.
Yep.
So if you throw little out routes and drag routes, for 5 yards, 6 yards a pop, you're running the clock doing that as well. So I think that'd be the smart strategy for the Dolphins if they're trying to hang in this game.
100%. Hey, shout out to Raider Nation Unlimited featuring Wasted Talent.
Hey,
He said, "Look at my bro dropping that knowledge." Shout out to the gang.
Wasted. What's going on, bro?
Hey, I was asking him about your Raiders earlier to start the show. I don't know if you caught that, but
Oh man, yeah, we're still hurting.
I believe
over
in
here,
you
man.
guys though, man. You have a solid team, man. You guys can easily get it on a run. You know what I mean? If you make a run, you guys are straight.
We got to win on Sunday. I'll tell you that.
That's for sure. That is a must win. If last week wasn't a must win, that's a must win for sure. You got anything else on this Bills game?
Nope. That's pretty much it. I did have some like key matchups that I was looking at, just some for fun kind of things to look at. Teron Armstead, he's the left tackle for the Dolphins. I really want to see how he's going to fare against Von Miller. That's going to be a fun matchup. And on the other side, you got Xavian Howard versus Stefan Diggs. Can he stop Stefan Diggs? Because Diggs, like we were talking about, he's having a offensive player of the year type year right now. So maybe Xavian Howard can be that guy that helps him meet his match basically this season. So we'll see. Those are the two matchups I'm looking at on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I was looking at that matchup too, because obviously, like I was saying about 5 minutes ago about Stefan Diggs, I really like him in this game. I think they're gonna, there's no reason for them to stop targeting him now. He'll have a lot of touches. He'll get yards off that, and especially what the Ravens passing game was able to do to the Dolphins passing game. I'm excited to see what Josh Allen and Stefan Diggs can do. But a couple stats I was looking at while I was looking at that matchup too. Stefan Diggs has scored a touchdown in 4 out of his 5 matchups with Miami. Both times that he's been in Miami, he's scored touchdowns. And I'm pretty sure Xavian Howard's been there for at least 4 of those, if not all 5. And he would probably have been matched up against him in any of those games. So, just to play that off your matchup, Stefan Diggs, even if he slows him down a little bit and compared to like the season he's had and the day he had Monday, if he slows him down a little bit, Stefan might still find the end zone, cash one of those bets for you. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we're both taking the Bills to cover and the under. That's probably our most confident plays of the day, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and then keep an eye on what those props look like. If they set Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill pretty high, you might want to take an under or stay away or go to the alternates. And then on the Bills side, I mean, wait for those lines to come out, but I think they have a great time passing the ball. Dawson Knox, Stefan Diggs in particular, Gabriel Davis coming back. Those are things to look at. So good luck betting this game, and I'll be back tomorrow with Chad and John Ryan around 2 or 3 o'clock to talk about some other games on the slate. Shout out to Big Mike Raider. Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Oh, and where can they go follow you at? I got your Twitter in the description, so go follow him on Twitter. It's in the description. But anywhere else?
You can find me Mike Big Mike _ Raider 1 on Instagram. Also, we do like a weekly podcast, audio podcast. It's called Unbiased Football Talk with me and a couple of my shipmates from back in the day. So a few Navy guys just talking football,
nice.
and that's what we like to do. And me and my buddy Kane Town are working on a podcast that we're going to be doing a YouTube page. So yeah, some things in the works right now, man. So, but as of right now, you can find me Unbiased Football Talk on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search Unbiased Football Talk and you'll see us.
Sounds good. Yeah, and you'll be here again. So we'll be back with you at some point throughout the season for sure. Peace.
Yep. Peace.